Hi, everybody, and welcome to this new webinar on UX tips on how to wow your SaaS customers. I'm very excited about this session, and I think many of you are as well, because if we look at in terms of registrations, it has been one of our top webinars so far. So really looking forward to making it interesting for you all. Today we have a very special guest, Graham Anderson from Commspace. He's head of BI, responsible for their analytics module and already working a couple of years on that one. And he'll be sharing some quick tips on how to improve UX, but also the process they went through, what some things are that they change over the years. So I'm very excited about this session. If you have any questions during this session, feel free to use the chat for that. We'll also have some time for Q&A at the end of the session. Before we dive into that with Graham, let's quickly do some recap because we have started these webinars to explain you what customer analytics experience or CAX is about, so what it means, but also to discuss some results that we found through research. And again, so we did some research on top G2 performing companies, over 140 companies across various industries. And we actually found out that 94% dealt with negative reviews on their analytics. And the top three reasons were: one, on UX and UI, and that's what we'll discuss about today, is that most of the dashboards are complex, not intuitive to use, and end users find them way too hard to use. Secondly, it didn't present the data that the end users needed or the insights that they needed. And then lastly, there was no way into controlling, editing, or customizing the reports. Of course, we all want everybody to have great customer analytics experience in their software. What that means is that we are looking at the intersection of three important areas. One, personalization, so tailoring the insights to the end user, making sure that it's adapted to their role, to their experience level. Two, end user business value. And then three, and that's the one that we will discuss today, having a premium user experience. Of course, that can mean a lot of things, and we'll cover a lot of topics today as well. It can go from how easy it is to use and consume insights, how it is adapted to the end user looking at these insights, but it also can be about engagement, where you can engage your end customers to slice and dice, interact with the information, filter, but also use actions in there. And then actions, of course, ties it into a user's flow of work, because we're looking at making data-driven decision-making. So ideally, these insights are closely related and close by where you're actually making the actions in your platform. But without further ado, and with a lot of pleasure, I'm leaving the floor to Graham, and he'll be sharing a lot of things here. So thanks, Graham. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. Thanks for that lovely introduction. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. I'm just checking that my screen is working. Yes, it is. Cool. So yeah, welcome everyone to today's session. So it's all about dashboard user experience. So again, thanks to the Camilio team for this opportunity to present today and share some knowledge around dashboard and user experience. And a big shout out to Mika for all the effort that she put into this webinar and helping me and calming my nerves, etc., etc. Okay, so let's get on. So the agenda for this session is going to be just a quick introduction to Commspace and what we do. And then we're going to look at some elements to help you improve your dashboard user experience. And then looking at a practical Commspace specific use case or practical application. And then we're going to close off with, how good user experience decrease support load. Cool. So what Commspace is a web-based application that's a revenue management system for independent and tied financial advisors, predominantly in the South African space, but we have a couple of global clients as well. But that should give you enough information, around, what type of graphs we might be building, I'm not going to go too much into depth about what our system does, but because we are here for dashboard or user experience, not necessarily what Commspace does, unfortunately. Next time. Cool, so the 5 elements that will help improve your dashboard user experience is the following. So it's research, prioritization, grouping, summarization, and educate. So I would say that those are the 5, I mean, the time constraint, there's a lot more, but those are the 5 most important elements that you can do to increase or improve your dashboard user experience. So let's get into a couple of them. So research, you would need to know who you are building your dashboards for, so who's your target audience. And then if you have any experience in requirements gathering, you need to differentiate between the must-haves and nice-to-haves. And the users always say that this is everything is must-haves. So you need to rely on your experience and knowledge to differentiate between the two. Then you implement and test, and then obviously make appropriate changes. Because Commspace dashboards is global, it's not user specific, we need to really take into consideration when a change comes in that, can we apply it across the board? So always, ask yourself, is this change appropriate in our context? But always ask yourself the question, is it an appropriate change? Then prioritization and grouping. So prioritization, I would say, is one of the most important parts. So it's basically telling you, most important information based on the research. Again, that's very important. Push that graphs and information to the top, preferably to the top left-hand side of the dashboard, because studies show that when a web page opens, that's where your eyes draw first. So again, research is very important here. That will actually result in you knowing which information is important, and you building the right graphs and putting it in the right position in your dashboard. Okay, and then number 2 is the grouping part. So this is basically resulting in dashboards that's not scattered. So you have comparable and relatable information in a single dashboard, but it's not close to each other. And the user needs to scroll a lot and find for relatable information. So just group them that is comparable and relatable, and then it just makes for easier experience. I mean, if you scroll and you find something and then you find a similar information down the line on the dashboard, it gets confusing. Okay. Summarization, it's basically just consolidating as far as possible, just making your dashboards not extensively long. So, just kept excessive scrolling to a minimum. Please note that it's pointed to excessive is highlighted. You'll always have scrolling in your dashboards. That's not avoidable at all, but just don't lead to, infinite scrolling dashboards. It's going to be, too much to take in. And then another part that it's not yet live, but I will showcase it today, is a dashboard that's very or super summarized. And I'm not going to copyright or claim this phrase, but it's like a gas or petrol gauge dashboard. It's something that will notify you of something, and that's an anomaly, and then obviously you as a user will go into more depth. So basically what it will do, it's a small dashboard, you don't scroll at all. You as a user will see something that's odd, or you have a KPI that you're tracking, and then there's an embedded URL into each graph that then points to a more in-depth dashboard that you can get more answers to your questions. And then the final part to improve your user experience is just to educate the users. And what we actually received quite a bit of feedback from our clients or users that they know sort of what the graph is trying to tell them, but they don't necessarily know what's the actions they can do with the information they can retrieve from the graph. So what we did is we extensively used tooltips in Camilio. So thank you so much for the Camilio developers on that. That saved quite a bit of training material on our side. So we put a lot of text in there to help alleviate that kind of issues. Cool. Let's go to a Commspace specific practical examples. Okay, you still can see my screen. Making sure. Cool. Yes. Okay, so this is the client demographics view that we recently deployed to our live environment. It's basically just giving the financial advisors or the financial advice practice an overview of their client base. So if I can go through the 5 elements again, so we start off with research, right? So with the feedback that we received from our users/clients, is that we saw that from a client demographics perspective, they really wanted to see how their business or their products are distributed per client age group. And you can see the age groups are 0 to 19, 20 to 29, etc., etc. So we, with that, we obviously know that prioritization is graphs that has, age groups within graphs that has age groups. So we prioritize these two graphs to the top, and you can see it's sort of to the left-hand side. Cool. And then we try to keep our filters to the top-hand corner. And then one important thing is the date slider is a super cool filter and easy to use, but it's not always the best because you can only filter, per month in year. So then obviously we just included the date pickers where you can, select specific dates. So again, just keep in mind that you need to always, keep a different perspective of the user in mind as well, if they don't want to only show per month. Okay, and then the other part is consolidation or summarization. There's two ways we did this. So just to give you some feedback or some background, is that we initially had 8 to 9 live dashboards that we consolidated into 3. Ignoring the home page, this is just for webinar's purpose. So 3 dashboards down from 8 till 9. So it's a 66 or a 55% decrease. And there's two ways we did this. So we made use of the combination graph. Basically, it's exactly what it's saying. You have a combination between different types of graphs, bar graph and a line graph. And then what we also did is we split the y-axis, the axis to the left-hand side, into 2. So we have 2. You can see on the side, there's 250. This is the unique distinct count, and this is the monetary values. You'll also note that there's no axis labels. Now, some people will say, when you use combination graphs, always include axis labels. We don't really like the axis labels. It's not a very sleek implementation. So how to circumvent that is to actually keep combination graphs consistent across the board. So when we use combo graphs like this, we always keep monetary values to the left-hand side and always correlate that back to a bar graph. And then to the right-hand side is always a count or a distinct count correlating back to a line graph. So you see the line graphs is all based on distinct counts. Okay, the second way and the coolest way that we could have consolidated information is by using measure and dimensional pickers. And this is represented by this, drop-down menus on all of the graphs. You'll see that on most of our graphs we have it. Some of it won't have it because there's only one measure and one dimension. But this is quite cool. So what you can do is you can, choose different measures, number of clients or production, right? And then there's also a different, let's just wait for it to load. Okay, no access, perfect. Let's just refresh it. It's always the live demo, right? It's never an easy thing to do. Cool. So you can choose number of clients, number of production. So it's basically giving you a different perspective on the same graph. So hopefully if I just click, perfect. So now you can see it's a bit different to the distinct count, and you can also choose, week, month, year as a different dimension. So this is again measure and a dimension. What this technically means is you have 2 different measures and 4 different dimensions to go into those measures. So you technically have 8 graphs in one. So that's one of the biggest reasons, why or how we could consolidate all our dashboards into just 3. Okay, and then the education part, as you can see, the tooltip functionality is implemented on all the different graphs that we have, and including the value pickers. So you can see here that's quite extensive. It's not just a one-liner on some of them, but most of them will have, quite a bit of text in them. So that, again, it just explains the high-level goal of the graph, and then also, what you can do with the information from it. Now, the cool part that I want to show you is also to do with the summarization element, and that's that gas/petrol gauge dashboard. So I go to the home page. Okay, I already preloaded it here. So you see here, there's no scrolling, right? It's just It's a single dashboard. There's no scrolling involved. It's only 4 graphs. And this should give enough information to the person to see any anomalies or changes that's not supposed to be there. And they can go and ask more questions on a more in-depth dashboard. So let me set the scene around a scenario that this dashboard quite perfectly shows. Let's say you're a marketing manager, in this case for a big financial advisory firm, and you targeted a marketing campaign for clients within the age group of 20 to 29. Now, the goal of the marketing campaign is to increase the number of clients to be more in line with the age groups of 30 to 39 and 40 to 49. Okay? And then what the marketing manager will do is he will obviously land on this page, because this is now the home page. And he will see, okay, cool, this is my 2029. After a year, how does it look like? So he will unselect the number of products, and he will see, okay, cool, it's a number of clients, it's 63, in comparison to 82 between the 30 and 39 age group, and then 71 to the 40 and 49. So it's getting there. So what the marketing manager will do is he wants to go and analyze a bit further and more in depth. So he just clicks on the graph, and that's where the embedded URL comes in. It takes the user to the client demographic space that we just on, and then hopefully if the user goes exactly as I go, he filters on the 20 to 29 filter at the top, and here at the bottom you will see, oh my word, the campaign started here and it drastically increased, right? So it started at 10 clients and now it's at 57 clients. So it's a 570% increase. So that's just one way, you can spark interest in a small dashboard to lead a user to a more in-depth dashboard. So they don't have to go and always search for small stuff in big dashboards. They have a small dashboard to unveil big changes. Okay, and then also nice, because of this measure pickers, you can now see the production side of it as well. And the funny part here is, you can see the trajectory for a number of clients. It's quite steep, but production-wise, it's not as steep. So again, it then pricks some more interest, and they can do further analysis by drawing reports, because analytics is not really there to always give the final answer. It's just to give enough interest to see, okay, there's something wrong. Okay, and that's basically how we summarized a lot of our dashboards into 3, or now technically 4. So let's go on to the last part, and that is how good user experience decreases support loads. So because we use extensively the tooltips, we less our training, so users don't really need so much training anymore, and because of the grouping and prioritization is well thought out, it's a lot less strain for them to understand where all the information is, as well as the dashboard isn't very big, so they don't have to go scroll a lot to find the necessary information. Then there's a lot of decrease in maintenance from a development point of view. So from 9 or 8 dashboards till 3, I mean, that speaks for itself, right? And then I think the most important part is less frustrated users. They tend to engage a lot more with the analytics, and the cool part of it all is, you don't get frustrated feedback. It's not, concerns. It's more, can we please add this because this will help with this. So it's a more constructive feedback that we can use to improve our analytics instead of, just hearing a lot of complaints. And that's it. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Gerrit van Zyl for all his help. He's the 50% in all of this dashboards. So well done to him as well. So thanks. Let's go on to the Q&A session.
Yeah, I saw Rahul asked two questions. One, how many types of graphs are available? In this case, well, you can choose of over 40 graphs. And then, is this graph heading customizable and currency-wise view as example? In measure and dimension picker, you can use whatever column you want to use, filtering it as a category, as a measure, whatever suits best in the use case that you have. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions here in chat. We're here to respond them. Maybe a small question to start off on my end. You mentioned customer feedback, a lot of customer feedback. How are you organizing it? Is it on a recurring basis? Is it depending on some projects that you're working on? And how do you organize it with your end users?
Yeah, so feedback is usually through via the system. We have integration with Intercom. So usually they pop a message there to our support users. Something is either wrong with the analytics, or they give feedback on, can we maybe add this graph? And the nice thing about the dimension pickers, measure-wise and dimension-wise, is that they can ask for something to add, but we can just go add it to the dimension or the measure picker, instead of going create a total new graph that maybe shifts the whole dashboard alignment. So yeah, we use predominantly Intercom, but I mean email, WhatsApp, we get feedback from funny places.
And here, yeah, Sophia. So importantly, if you look at great customer analytics experience, so her question was, is the layout of the graphs customizable? Can we customize it using HTML and CSS? Of course, it's really important that it seamlessly fit your own application. So in terms of user interface, in terms of styling, you can there's a lot of options that you can use, and indeed you can also inject CSS if with just the options you wouldn't get there. You saw it from the interface of Commspace. It uses their colors, their main colors, but also a palette of colors that is suited to their end usage.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, maybe another question I have here. Are there any next steps you already have in mind that you want to work on to improve?
Yes, we're going to try and use customs events as well, to try. When you saw when I pressed on the graph when the URL was embedded, we're going to try and use custom events to not reload the whole page, but just update the backend dashboard, so it's a bit more seamless, that it's not so intrusive. The whole screen refreshes. And yeah, I think that's all for on the plates now, because we just went through quite a extensive rework. So I mean, plate's a bit empty at the moment.
How did the customers react when you went from a lot of dashboards to just the three of them with the main one in there?
No, look, it's they said it was nice. So again, it's live, but it's still also in a testing phase. So we're gonna get a lot of feedback. There's always users that will want to have the old way, but luckily the integration is so seamless. We can also just make it visible to them on the fly as well. So if they ask us, we preferred really the old one, we said, yeah, okay, cool. We'll for now we'll open it up, but in the next 3 months, you got to get used to the new dashboards. So.
I see, Bert Jordan. Would you mind talking about any UX failures you had early on?
UX, sorry?
UX failures, things that didn't go as well as expected.
Well, this is just more from it's sort of legacy stuff. So that's just what there was. So it's not necessarily a mistake, but we had quite a large number of dashboards. So that's one UX mistake or failure, and what that led to is users getting super confused around where to find what, and because there's a lot of duplication of information across the dashboards. I mean, it's literally the same graph that's duplicated somewhere else, and it's just nonsensical to see it there. They get quite confused. So from a failure point of view, I think that was one of our biggest ones. So, yeah.
Maybe something that intrigued me, what you said is, so you have a number of users that are acting as the first test users, right? So you have beta users, and then people use and after a while you roll it up for everybody. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's the plan. So with our integration, we can obviously limit these kinds of dashboards to certain users while keeping the old ones there as well, and then just getting feedback. If you want more information around how we sort of did it or currently is doing it, I'm happy to share, but don't know if this is going to take a while.
And how do you select them? The ones that you use as beta user?
It's actually the users that provide the most feedback on the old dashboards, and it's just clients that's been the longest on Commspace, because then they have the most data, so it's more rich and powerful, the dashboards. That's how we choose it.
Another question from Frederick. Did you make accessibility consideration when designing it?
Maybe a bit more information on the accessibility part.
Yeah, I think it's around color blindness.
No, I don't think so. We didn't really go into that level of granularity, but happy to do so. If somebody complains, I mean, we'll definitely build something special for them, or even make it a bit more different. Even have a bit more legends on it, etc. Or even on the graph itself, we'll label it as well.
Maybe Frederick, a good tip in there. Of course, that one covers colors, but if you look at color palette, that in terms of accessibility, the first name escapes me, but Brewer. You can look at color Brewer palettes, and there you have accessible colors. In terms of design of the dashboards, there's a lot of tips we could share on as well to make pages accessible, because indeed it's important that all your end users can get the insights they deserve.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, there's the link.
I see Bear is still typing something. Oh, yeah, thanks for the link. Of course, feel free to ask us any other questions after this webinar. We're happy to respond to these. We're both very passionate about business intelligence and this topic, so with pleasure, contact us either through LinkedIn or through email. We'll be happy to tell you more on that one as well.
No, please, that would be awesome.
Great. Thank you for taking the time to present it here, to present the end use case. It was my pleasure, and it was very interesting for me as well. So thanks for taking the time here.
Awesome. Always nice to share experience and knowledge. So happy to do it. To the next one.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for tuning in. See you until on the next webinar as well. I hope it was interesting for you as well. I think in terms of numbers, a lot of people tuned in, so I hope you enjoyed it. See you all.
Thanks everyone. Cheers.
Bye.